अ, ये हमारा भी सौभाग्य है कि डॉक्टर रमेश चिंतक, सतीश शर्मा जी वैसे वरिष्ठ सदस्य भी यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, और वो लोग सुन भी रहे हैं, और उम्मीद करता हूँ कि आने वाले दिनों में लोगों को और उत्साहवर्धन भी करेंगे वहाँ पर। और अगले वक्ता को बुलाने से पहले, अगले वक्ता डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार हैं, उनको बुलाने से पहले मैं चाहूंगा कि अब आप लोग अगर चाहें तो 5 मिनट कर हम लोग वाटर ब्रेक कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि यहाँ तो टी ब्रेक तो होना नहीं है, वाटर ब्रेक हो सकता है। आप लोग पानी नहीं पी के स्वस्थ हो जाए। डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार आ जाएंगे तो वक्त शुरू करेंगे अपना वहाँ पे। ठीक है, आप लोग अगर तैयार हैं तो ठीक है, तो मैं डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार को से अनुरोध करूंगा कि वो अवतरित हों। और डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार।
सर नमस्ते, थैंक यू।
जब तक ये लोग आ रहे हैं अपना वाटर ब्रेक के बाद, तो डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार लो प्रोफाइल रहने वालों में से हैं। कई बार उनको पकड़ने की कोशिश की गई थी, पर वो इस फोरम पर नहीं पकड़ पाए हम लोग उनको पहले वहां तक। और आप अपने प्रोफेशनल ही एकेडमिशियन हैं, और कहीं ना कहीं इनके पीछे एकेडमिक का एक विचारधारा हमेशा रहती है। मैसूर चैप्टर की से काफी दिनों तक संबंध रहने के बाद अब ये एडिटोरियल टीम के पार्ट भी हैं। जो किताबें आप पढ़ रहे हैं उसमें कहीं ना कहीं योगदान डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार का रहा ही रहा है। तो आईकास के लोगों को डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार का नाम शायद सब परिचित है, अभी कोई नहीं है। ऐसे व्यक्ति को आमंत्रण करने में और ऐसे व्यक्ति के सुनने के लिए सब इच्छुक होंगे वहां पर, क्योंकि आपने को पहले कम लोगों ने सुना है। तो आज उनके लिए एक बुनादा है, एक फीस्ट है कि नक्षत्र के ऊपर आपके अपने विचार और आपकी चीजें संबंध होंगे। नॉर्मली में टाइम रखा है, मतलब 45 मिनट्स 50 मिनट्स रखा है। आप अपना देख लीजिएगा, और कुछ क्वेश्चन अगर होंगे स्टूडेंट्स के तो आप ऐसे क्वेश्चन भी पूछवा सकते हैं। तो तकरीबन 1 घंटे के अंदर हम अपना आपके कार्यक्रम को आपके लिए रखेंगे। उसके बाद चूंकि होस्ट चैप्टर नोएडा चैप्टर है, तो सोचा कि होस्ट चैप्टर से भी एक प्रतिनिधि हमारा हो, तो हमारे चैप्टर चेयरमैन ब्रिगेडियर सुभाष शर्मा जी डॉक्टर सौम्या कुमार के बाद अपना वक्तव्य देंगे। आज के 2 वक्तव्य के बाद आप लोगों को थकावट ना हो, इसलिए आज वहीं रोक देंगे हम लोग वहाँ पर। इसका टाइम को कल फिर चालू करेंगे, तो कल दोपहर में 4 बजे। एग्जाम चल रहे हैं 3 से 4, तो इसलिए कल हम 4 बजे रखेंगे अपने क्लासेस, अपनी लेक्चर सीरीज को, ताकि आपको आराम मिल जाए। डॉक्टर रमेश चिंतक सर, आप चूंकि हैं उपलब्ध, तो मैं चाहूंगा 2 मिनट आप आशीर्वचन के लिए बोल देंगे तो बेहतर रहेगा, तो लोग आ जाएंगे वहां पर। जी चिंतक साहब। अच्छा, आवाज
जी
चिंतक साहब की आवाज आ गई, अब सर आ गई।
मैं एक्चुअली आपने वहां से, मैं यहाँ पे अनम्यूट देख रहा था, आपने वहां से ही अनम्यूट कर दिया था। आप
जी
मेरी
जी जी,
आवाज आ रही है?
अब आ रही है, आवाज आ रही है जी, आ रही है, आ रही है।
बहुत अच्छा है ये परंपरा जो आपने प्रारंभ की है, और वास्तव में इस तरह की संवेदनशील परंपराएं आप ही प्रारंभ कर सकते थे। इसलिए पहले तो आपका और नोएडा चैप्टर के तमाम लोगों को बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आप सबका पुरुषार्थ बहुत प्रशंसनीय भी है और प्रेरणास्पद भी है। और दूसरों को भी प्रेरणा देंगे कि हमें अपने बुजुर्गों को, अपने बड़ों को, अपने अध्यापकों को कभी भूलना नहीं चाहिए। और उनकी स्मृति में जो जिस तरह का ये आप ज्ञान सरोवर इकट्ठा कर रहे हैं, वो निश्चित रूप से मौजूदा समय के लोगों को तो एक मार्गदर्शन देगा ही, और आने वाले ज्योतिष के विद्यार्थियों को भी बहुत मार्गदर्शन देगा। और इसके लिए आप सबको बहुत बहुत साधुवाद। आज तो चूंकि सौम्या कुमार जी का व्याख्यान है, और अंत में जिस दिन शायद 2 तारीख को मेरा व्याख्यान है, उस दिन आपसे तफसील से डिटेल बात करूंगा। नमस्कार, धन्यवाद।
धन्यवाद, धन्यवाद सर। पंडित सतीश शर्मा जी भी उपलब्ध हैं, अगर वो, उनसे अनुरोध होगा कि वो भी 2 मिनट के लिए इन ऑडियंस को अपने मुखारबिंद से अनुग्रहित करें तो अच्छा लगेगा। पंडित सतीश शर्मा जी, अगर मेरी आवाज सुन रहे हैं तो। मेरे ख्याल से पंडित सतीश शर्मा जी तो थे तो सही, अब अगर चले गए होंगे तो।
नहीं है तो सही सर, वाटर ब्रेक पर होंगे शायद।
जी, विस्क अगर वो नहीं, आचार्य सर, आचार्य सर। जी सर, आचार्य सर प्रणाम सर।
नमस्कार।
सर
कल तो दे दिया, बार बार दोबारा आशीर्वाद नहीं हुए, बट
सर, आज की कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत है तो इसलिए तो जरूरत है। जी सर।
हमारे गुरुवर के इस मेमोरियल लेक्चर सर्विस जो चल रहा है, आज प्रधान जी के द्वारा जो बताया गया था, वेरी नाइस प्रोग्राम था। प्रॉब्लम सिर्फ ये, उनको 24 घंटे दे दो तभी भी वो रुक नहीं पाएंगे, क्यों इतना विषय है इसमें। उन्होंने कहा सही कि गुरुकुल विद्या होना चाहिए। अभी उसके हनुमान जी है, जो सौम्य कुमार जी, वो भी वक्ताओं में अति विशिष्ट वक्ता है। हमारे गुरुवर जहां भी हो, सौम्य कुमार जैसे यंग प्रोफेसर्स को आगे बढ़ाना इस क्षेत्र में, उसके लिए मैं तो उनसे विनती करूंगा इनको आशीर्वाद दे और अपना वक्तव्य शुरू करें। उसके बाद आ रहा है आज ब्रिगेड शर्मा जी का। अगेन गुरुवर कपूर साहब के प्रथम शिष्य हैं। उनके आज्ञा के अनुसार कई बार उन्होंने लेक्चर दिए हैं, मुझे सुनने का अवसर भी मिला था नोएडा चैप्टर में। तो इसलिए आज का जो भी प्रोग्राम आपने तय किया है, डेफिनेटली सोच विचार के किया हुआ प्रोग्राम है। जो भी सुन रहे हैं would definitely praise the chapter, then chapter will grow leaps and bounds. This is my आशा है और आपका प्रोग्राम खत्म। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू सर। Now I think सब लोग, everybody will come back. Dr. Soumya Kumar, floor is open to you, and you can start your. Thank you. You're welcome, Dr. Soumya Kumar.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. First of all, thanks to Pradeep Chaturvedi ji and dear Subhash Sharma. And as Pradeep ji said, many times he had invited me, but somehow I couldn't take that opportunity. But this time I thought that I should not miss this, and I accepted his invitation readily. Actually, in this whole program, what I liked most was that the panel discussion which is being hosted for the students. Long back when I met Kapoor sir, now my association with Kedarji is very less, but when I met Kapoor sir, the way he encouraged the students, most of us were students at that time, very young students. So I think that's the most befitting memorial which one can arrange for Kapoor sir, and probably for Kedarji also. So that's the most what should I say? Probably the highlight of this whole memorial lecture, I think, is the students' participation on the last day. So congrats, Pradeep ji, for having this wonderful idea. Usually it's all one way. People who make little name like me get lot of opportunity and others are left behind. So this is a very fantastic thing. But I have one complaint with you. It is that you have kept my session after Shukla sir's. The problem is that if somebody hears Shukla sir, then they don't have any abhiruchi to hear anybody else. And if somebody speaks before him, then they will forget whatever the earlier speaker spoke. So this is a big problem. Anyhow, I'll try my best to present whatever little I have learned as far as nakshatras is concerned. So I wish to speak, share a few points about nakshatras. And from nakshatras, I want to move to Navamsha. There is one peculiar thing about this nakshatras. Navamsha chart and the D27 chart. These two charts exactly represent, rather mirror the nakshatras. Therefore, they give a lot of clue as far as how the nakshatras work. So, taking the help of various classics and modern thinkers, and of course, all the Gurujan, and in this, especially in this, whatever little study which I tried to make as far as nakshatras is concerned, if some people may remember, I had spoken about D27 earlier in the faculty seminar. At that time, Shukla sir had guided me a lot, and I had got a little bit of help from, a lot of help from Ashish Sharma also, so I should remember them. So I won't take much of your time. I'll straight away start sharing my screen. Okay, so this is my topic. So before we move on to what exactly the nakshatras are, let me speak a few things about nakshatras. Generally, these are all things which you all know, but I just want to recap your memory. That's all, nothing else. If you remember, the most important point in a horoscope is Janma Nakshatra. Because whether the horoscope is cast or not, we will be able to identify the Janma Nakshatra for all people. There is absolutely no problem. Even with Nama Aksharas, we can identify the Nakshatra. This is one of the most beautiful things which our Rishis have designed. And of course, there is the whole system of Nama Aksharas and their own logic. I don't want to go into that. And then, as we all know, it's the Rashis. Actually, Rashi is nothing but a group of Nakshatras. So, the word Rashi itself means a heap. And therefore, it's a heap of Nakshatras. As we know, the nakshatras, it's not one nakshatra. When we speak of, say, for example, Kritika, it's a group of 6 or 7 nakshatras. So like that, it goes on for all the nakshatras. I don't want to go into those basic things. The third point is that I don't know about North India, but in South India, if somebody has to perform a remedy, then the most preferred day is the day on which the Janma Nakshatra comes. In fact, people who follow Sauramana, they even celebrate their birthdays according to the nakshatra, not according to the tithi, which is common with Chandramana following people, like me, for example. In Tamil Nadu, in Kerala, it's very common for people to celebrate their birthdays on the Janma Nakshatra day. So it's called, if a person like Acharya Ramanuja comes, then it's called as Thiru Nakshatra also, Shri Nakshatra. So, but in my part, especially in Karnataka, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, Janma Nakshatra is preferred for performing the remedies. And we have a lot of clues in our scriptures, especially the Brahmanas and Aranyakas, about which nakshatra should be used for used to get a certain type of material or spiritual benefits. Just to give an example, if somebody wants to have wealth, then they should perform sacrifice on Rohini Nakshatra. That's what they say. If they want greater wealth, then Hasta Nakshatra is preferred. So it goes on like that. And if I remember rightly, if marriage is performed on Swati Nakshatra, then the Taittiriya Brahmana says that the girl won't return to the parents' place. She will live happily with her in-laws and her husband. That's how these things go. So nakshatras form the foundation, and as Guruji Shukla sir was telling, if you have to reduce everything to the whole of astrology into one area, then nakshatras forms the basis. So what exactly are these nakshatras? That we have, let us try to understand that. Once again, the Taittiriya Brahmana says, Devagruhavai nakshatrani. So nakshatras are nothing but the houses or homes where the devatas reside. This is what the Taittiriya Brahmana says. And it also says that Yova iha yajatemum lokam nakshate nakshatranam nakshatratvam. A person who performs yajnas in this world will live in the other world of light. So, as we know, punya is also called as a wealth. And in Karnataka, in Kannada, there is a proverb which says that one can't count the money accumulated by the father, and one can't fold mother's saree. So this is a very simple proverb which is frequently taught to all the children. So the saree which is being referred to, the mother's saree which is being referred to, is the sky, and the money which can't be counted is the stars. And as we know, punya is the biggest wealth. So if we translate money into wealth, then it becomes this. So probably that proverb has its origin in this Taittiriya Brahmana, because nakshatras are nothing but all those elderly people, our own pitrus, who did lot of yajnas, that is, who did lot of tyaga and sacrifice, and they are blessing us from the sky. That's what nakshatras are. So similarly, the Taittiriya Samhita says, persons who perform good deeds are shining with brilliance in the form of stars in the other world. Sukritam va yetani jyotinshi yan nakshatrani. In fact, the word jyoti and nakshatra, they are very, very closely related. And probably it may be my wild imagination, but the word jyotisha itself owes its roots to the brilliance of the stars. And the best example for this performance of good deeds and shining with their brilliance is the Saptarishis, whom we can identify in the sky as Saptarshi Mandala. So similarly, Yaska Maharshi in the Nirukta, he says that Nirukta, as we all know, is the dictionary which gives us the meaning, which was, which is how we should use these words, which was meant by the Rishis. And unfortunately, Yaska Maharshi, who lived long before the Common Era, probably 4,000 to 5,000 years back, he says that we have already lost the meanings of many Vedic words. Therefore, we have to, I have to write this particular dictionary. That's what he says. So he says that Nakshatrani Nakshater Gati Karmanaha Nemani Kshatrani Ticha Brahmanam. So Kshatra is not just about the Bahubala or Bhujabala. It also denotes wealth or dhana in the Vedas. And it says that Yaska Maharshi says that they are called as nakshatras because they shine like wealth in the form of gold, that is Hiranya. So we can just imagine how the nakshatras were seen in a very, very positive light, unlike any other celestial being which we can identify in the sky. Even among the planets, we identify as benefic planets, malefic planets, same thing with the upagrahas. But as far as nakshatras are concerned, they are always praised, and it is said that they always give us good things. That's why they say that yat punyam nakshatram tadvat kurvitopabhyusham. So when the star is auspicious, one should do what is good in that star. So as I said, for wealth, one should perform sacrifice when the Rohini is there. It goes on like that. So compared to the grahas, the nakshatras are always considered as not only divine, but as positive, those who give positive results. And they can, however, be affected by grahas. This is something which we have to remember. So whenever a graha tenants a nakshatra, then the characteristic features of the graha gets transferred to the nakshatras. So how it works out, let us see a little bit later on, but please remember these basic things. So why Navamsha we have to take? This is the next question we have to answer. The nakshatra part, it's from nakshatra to Navamsha. I have answered the nakshatra part. Let us look into the Navamsha. So once again, the Grahanam Amshakam Balam is a very, very famous saying. And when we use the word Amsha, it is not any other divisional chart, but it is exclusively the Navamsha chart. So if we have to see the strength of a planet, then we have to look into the D9. So it provides vital clues about the potential or inner strength of the planets and obviously of the native. So Navamsha forms one of the foundational basis of reading a horoscope. So Manasagri has two type of statements, Prayo Navamshe Akhilam. So from Navamsha, everything can be seen, it says. And also Jataka Phalam Navamshe. So we can give the results of the horoscope just by looking at the Navamsha. That's what Manasagri says. So this is something which runs through the whole gamut of the scripture, starting from BPHS to the modern classics. So C.S. Patel, while talking about, while comparing and contrasting between the Rashi chart and Navamsha chart, gives this picture. If Rashi is the Deha, then the Navamsha is the foundation or the Merudanda, the spinal cord, which makes us stand up. So without spinal cord, human beings are nothing. In fact, it is the spinal cord which distinguishes us from all the other animals. Therefore, it is called as Merudanda. If Rashi is the tree, from Navamsha, we can see what fruits we can get. And he goes on like that. So if Rashi is the Sthula Vibhaga, Navamsha is Sukshma Vibhaga. Of course, there are many other Amsha charts up to D60. But the wonderful nature of Navamsha is that it's fairly easy to cast, and also even when the birth time is not so definite, the Navamsha chart can be cast, and therefore it's the most reliable Sukshma chart which we can depend upon. So what exactly is Navamsha? So as we know, one Amsha is 3 degrees 20 minutes, but degrees is a modern connotation, modern terminology. Definitely, it was not used earlier. 3 degrees 20 minutes was called as Nakshatra Pada. So when we speak about Navamsha, we are speaking about Nakshatra Padas and nothing else. Therefore, the Nakshatra Padas plays a very, very important role. And in South India, if you take any horoscope cast by an astrologer, even there are many people who write the horoscopes manually. There we see that the astrologer not only writes the Rashi chart, but Navamsha chart. And without consulting the Navamsha chart, no astrologer ventures to give predictions. This is something which is religiously followed actually, whether people know the importance of a Navamsha chart or not, but they are always seen in conjunction. And the best part is that why Nakshatra Pada is very important is that even if a planet is debilitated in Rashi, but is exalted in Navamsha, then it makes the native happy. So the debilitation effect of the planet comes down considerably actually. It may not give very, very good results, but the negative results will come down drastically. That's the beauty of the planets going into different Amshans in the Navamsha. So there is a direct relationship between Nakshatra, Nakshatra Pada and the Navamsha. Same thing can be said about other charts also. Actually, we can calculate the longitude as is given by Jagannath Hora. But here, the association between the Nakshatra, Nakshatra Pada, Nakshatra, that is Nakshatra Pada, and the Navamsha chart is very, very direct. There is absolutely no ambiguity as far as the relationship between Nakshatras and Navamsha is concerned. The only other chart where this type of clarity is available is in D27. So in Saptavimsha Amsha chart, as we know, each of the Amsha is ruled by a deity, and those deities are given by Maharshi Parashara, and the 27 deities exactly correspond to the deities assigned to the 27 nakshatras. So it starts from Kritika, and Agni is the deity for Kritika, and it goes all the way up to Bharani or Apabharani as it was called in the Vedic times, and Bhagavan Yama is the deity for Apabharani. Please remember, I am not talking about the planetary lords. I am talking about the Vedic Devatas. This has been clearly mentioned in Taittiriya Brahmana. And incidentally, for all rituals dealing with, or for all aspects dealing with the karma, it is Yajurveda which forms the basis, and Taittiriya Brahmana is part of the Yajurveda. If Veda gives the jnana, how that jnana can be utilized in the rituals and how it can be utilized in this world or in the other world is given by the Brahmanas. This is true for all the Vedas, but Taittiriya Brahmana is the, if I can put it like that, if Rigveda is the science, then Yajurveda is the engineering aspect. Whatever science is available in Rigveda is brought into application by the Yajurveda. This provides, Taittiriya Brahmana provides a lot of clues about nakshatras. Even Maharshi Parashara, when he speaks about Vimshopaka Bala, if you can see here in Shadvarga, Rashi has the highest number of points, that is 6 points, and Navamsha has 5 points. Same thing in Shodasha Varga. If Rashi has 3.5 points, then Navamsha has 3 points assigned to it. So that shows the importance given to the Navamsha. This is something which we all know. I don't want to go into that, how the calculation takes place. I will just skip this. So we can straight away go to the deities of Navamsha. So Navamsha is divided into 3 parts: Deva, Manushya, and Rakshasa. Actually, Parashara uses the word Nara. For convenience sake, I have put it as Manushya. To understand the nature of a native, it is very, very important to understand who is a Devata, who is a Manushya or Nara, and who is a Rakshasa. So these 3 give vital clues about how the planets act in a chart. I won't be dealing too much here because this itself will take a lot of time, but I'll give just one general picture. So for example, an easiest way to remember which Amsha goes to which deity is stars of Ketu, Moon and Jupiter. The first and fourth padas of the stars of Ketu, Moon and Jupiter, they always go to the Devamsha or Devamsha. Similarly, the first and fourth padas of Venus, Mars and Saturn, they always go to Naramsha, and the first and fourth padas of Sun, Rahu and Mercury always go to Rakshasa Amsha. So it's very, very easy to remember. In between the second and third, it varies according to the flow of the padas. So this much we can remember because that will help us a lot when we calculate or when we try to understand which deity is the lord of which Amsha. And unfortunately, this is something which I have to submit before this august audience, that the shloka by Parashara Maharshi about the calculation of these, how the deities has to be assigned, is there a lot of ambiguity as far as in the books of both Santanam and Girish Chandra Mishra. So there is no clarity, and even the softwares follow lot many different methods. So it's better if we stick to this principle and then assign the other padas, which will help us a lot. Okay. Now, how to understand the nature of the deities? There is one book called Bruhat Devata. This was written long back. And it gives us the nature of the deities. Normally, what happens is that in the Vedas, the Vedas talk a lot about how to please the deities and what exactly is their way. But how to understand what exactly a person does? For example, Indra is worshipped as Brahma. Indra is worshipped as, sometimes he is called as the elder brother of Vishnu. It goes on like that. So Bruhat Devata gives us a very, very direct explanation. It is written by Suta Maharshi. So he says, Tat kalvahuhu katibhyastu karmebhyo namachayate sattvanam vaidikanam va yadvanyadiha kinchana. So tat kalvahu katibhyastu. How did the devatas got their names? Knowledgeable people say that they get their names based on what actions they do, that is, what actions they perform, and how many accomplishments they have made. So it is the names which provide the key to understand the devatas. So let us understand this Deva, Nara and Manushya in this on this basis. There is one beautiful story in Shatapatha Brahmana. There is one beautiful story in Shatapatha Brahmana. It says that once the Suras and Asuras, both of them are the children of Prajapati Brahma, there was a competition between them. And they wanted to know how a yajna has to be performed. And so that if they perform the yajna, then Prajapati will become will switch over to their party, just like the modern leaders switching from one party to another party. They wanted to draw Prajapati into their own faction. So they wanted to perform the yajna. But what happened is that Asuras, they had a lot of arrogance and they thought, what shall we offer? So, and where should we offer? These were the two questions they asked themselves. Wherein shall we offer? That's what they say. From where should we put? It looks very obvious for us that Ahuti should be given in the Agni. But Shatapatha Brahmana says that at that time there was a lot of confusion. So what they did was that whatever they wanted to give to Prajapati, they just consumed it. They put it in their own mouths. So in that way, because of this, since they themselves ate what had to be given to the Prajapati, they lost the competition. Then what did the Devatas do? But gods, they were very, very humble. Say they proceeded offering into each other. This is the beauty of it. What they did was that they started sharing it with each other. So Prajapati became very happy and he said that I am with you because Prajapati is yajna and sacrifice indeed is the food of gods. That's what Shatapatha Brahmana says. So English doesn't give the full flavor. Sacrifice means yaga. Yaga is the food of gods. Whenever we give up and share it with each other, whenever we give it to others, then it becomes the real yajna. It may be anything. So probably that's the reason why we say that Jnana Yajna is the best yajna, because we don't keep it to ourselves. And as the Karma book says, we don't want to be born as Brahma Rakshasas. So this is how the Devatas have to be understood. So this provides a vital clue about how we have to understand who is a Rakshasa and who is a, what's that, Devata. So Devata means Divyati Anandena Kridati. Those who are very shining, fit to be honored or worshipped, and they are childlike. They Kridati. They childlike, they are playing. They are very, very innocent. But Rakshasas are one who is interested in preserving and one who always tries to be protected. We have to be very, very careful here. Please remember that Maharshi Parashara has called even Rakshasas as Devatas of the D9. So Rakshasas too have many positive qualities, just like the great Ravana, who knew all the Vedas, who was a very great musician, who knew how to play on Veena. But his problem was that he was totally selfish. But one of the Rakshasa guna which we should appreciate is one who is interested in preserving. People who preserve things for the posterity, they are also called as Rakshasas because they are doing some work. So Rakshasaha means anything to be guarded against and warded off. No Grihastha can afford to give up everything. In fact, it's only sannyasis who can afford to give up everything and move about like Parivrajakas. So some amount of Rakshasa guna, that is the preservation, is necessary. But at the same time, one should not be so selfish that one should keep everything for himself and do not share with any other person. So Devata is one who shares and sacrifices. Rakshasa is one who is selfish, self-protecting, self-preserving, and basically who is a Swarthi. And Manushya is a mixture of the above two. So this is something which we have to remember. I think it is Acharya Shankaracharya. He clearly says that the Devatas, Rakshasas are very much living on this earth. They are not somewhere in other world, because all of us have these gunas. The guna to give up and also to guna to preserve things. But sometimes we go to the other extreme and become totally selfish. So this is some clue which we can use when we are analyzing the Navamsha chart. But I don't want to dwell too much on this. Let me move to next part. I won't be giving an example because the time is very less. So if we take the Lagna Amsha is nothing but the Udita Navamsha or the Lagna of the Navamsha chart. So the Nakshatra Pada in which Lagna falls is very, very important. And Devakeralam gives this principle. This is repeated by many other authors also. Whenever a planet transits the Nakshatra Pada of Lagna, some important event takes place in the life of native. It may be positive or negative. Please remember that. Supposing that if a person is born in 2° Aries and whenever a planet transits the Nakshatra Pada of D9, then some important events take place. I'll try to demonstrate this with a very, very straightforward and simple chart. because not only for the timing of events, but also how Navamsha can be used for understanding how events takes place in a native's life can be understood. So D9 Lagna, as I said, is the Bhava Madhya Navamsha. Sometimes the degrees of Lagna is considered as a Bhava Madhya by some. Even otherwise, it can be taken as a very, very important point. So planets transiting over this point of Navamsha position gives results. So what exactly is this transit over D9? What we have to do is that take the D9 chart, natal D9 chart, and place the transit planets around the natal D9 planets. See the influence of transit planets on different amshas of D9. I'll repeat. We have to take the natal D9 chart. I am not talking about, please remember, I am not talking about the Janma Rashi chart. Take the D9 chart. Then on the outer plane, please place the transit planets. Say, for example, today moon is in Dhanishta Nakshatra, then place moon. Take your D9 chart, place moon in Makara Rashi. So the transit planet is sitting outside, but whatever planet is there in your Makara Rashi is getting influenced by the moon. This is what I am telling. So the comparison of natal and transit D9 is, of course, there is also the practice of comparing the natal and transit D9, but I am speaking about, I am exclusively focusing on D9 because the nakshatra pada, since the planet has higher strength in the nakshatra pada, I am talking about that. So here the role of slow moving planets and Jaimini Karakas also gives us important clues. And one more thing, just as we take the nakshatra pada of the Lagna, we can also consider the nakshatra pada of the moon. And whenever a planet transits over the nakshatra pada of the moon, that is, whenever some planet transits over the moon in your D9 chart, then it will have lot of effect on your chart. And as usual, slow moving planets have more long lasting effects. This is the horoscope of John F. Kennedy, the famous John F. Kennedy. I'll try to prove whatever the principle which has been given in the Deva Keralam by taking the example of this particular chart, by taking up 2 or 3 events from John F. Kennedy's life. Okay. So for convenience sake, I have given the degrees of the planets and also the ascendant at the top. I think it's better if you take the photo of this, because if you start writing it, it will take a lot of time. Please take a photo, or if it's available, you can put the chart. So as I said, the most important point is the degrees or the nakshatra pada of the ascendant. So ascendant is at 27 degree 18 minutes. There is one more principle which I want to demonstrate here. I will come to that later on. Please look into here. For convenience sake, I will explain the chart. So the ascendant is in Kanya. Rahu is in 4th, that is in Dhanus. And in Mesha, that is 8th house, we have Mercury and Mars. In 9th, we have Jupiter, Sun and Venus. In 10th, we have Ketu. 11th, we have Saturn. And in 12th, we have Moon. So let us remember this. Please remember the degrees of the ascendant, 27 degree, 18 minutes. This is the D9 chart of the former president of United States of America. For him, it's Vargottama Lagna. The Navamsha Lagna falls in Kanya itself. The only change is that Rahu has come there. And please see that Sun is also Vargottama. These are 2 important features as far as Kennedy's Navamsha chart is concerned. So, Kanya Lagna 27 degree 18 minutes. That means Chitta Nakshatra second pada. The one more point which we have to remember is that in Kennedy's chart, Mercury is in 27 degree 54 minutes. So he is in very, very close conjunction to the Lagna. Another principle which is enunciated, which is given in Deva Keralam, is that whichever planet is very close to the Lagna, that planet will have a very, very important role in the native's life. I'll repeat this principle. whichever planet is very close to the nakshatra pada or degrees of the lagna will have heavy influence on the native's life. This is true of other planets also. Whichever the planets which are very close to each other will have lot of effect on each other, irrespective of the house. Please remember that, irrespective of the house. This is a fundamental principle which is followed in the Nadi and also in other books. So if you see here, Moon is in 24 degree 30 minutes, Mars is 25 degree 44 minutes. So it's just about 1 degree difference. Even if they belong to the different nakshatra padas, since they belong to the subsequent nakshatra padas, they are considered to be very mutually influencing. This is a very important principle followed in the Nadi. So Mercury and Lagna are in same degrees. This I have already told you. Vargoptam Lagna with Rahu. He became senator. I will illustrate the importance of this by taking a couple of charts. The day on his election results were declared, his swearing in day, and also the day he was assassinated. I have left out the senator part because of time constraints. It's already 5:15, so I will straight away move to this one. But before moving into that, let us try to understand who are all playing their role here. So the planetary lord of nakshatra Chitta is Mars. The sign lord of nakshatra is Mercury. And the Devata of Chitta Nakshatra is Tvashta. The Vedic Devata of Chitta Nakshatra is Tvashta. So let us try to understand these three things. So if we take any house, since it's in the first house, that is Kanya Lagna, each house has certain characteristic features. I won't be dealing with all the houses, obviously 12 houses, because it's not possible. Just to suffice, give a flavor of how a chart can be analyzed. Only the first house will be taken. The inner strength of the first house denotes self-respect, dignity, and inclination to renounce also. That's very, very important. What are the outer strengths? It's the physical strength, ability to do or ability to work, the political fame, honor, and of course stigma, because a planet afflicting the Lagna or the Lagna Lord may bring bad name also. So inner strengths shows the character of the person, and outer strengths show what a person can achieve or has achieved in this case. Let us go to the Mars, who is the lord of the nakshatra. So Mars too denotes a couple of inner characteristic features and outer characteristic features, which I have called as strength. So the inner strength of Mars is steadfastness, certain amount of anger and obstinacy, cunning strategies, because along with the moon, it's only Mars who has been called as Kutila in the classics, and spreading scandals. So spreading scandals is also considered as an inner strength because that's the characteristic feature of a person. Don't bring in ethics here. Just consider that that person's strength is that. How the strength is used is the ethical issue. If you take the outer strength, so ability to carry weapons, administrator, etc., all these will come. Let us not go into those things. In the case of JFK, it is administrator and ability to carry weapons. He himself did not participate in any war directly. He was the commander-in-chief of the US Army. So that signification also gets fulfilled. What about Tvashta? Tvashta is one form of Prajapati Brahma. Just as Prajapati Brahma creates, Tvashta also creates. So one thing what we have to remember is that Prajapati Brahma created the whole thing, but the hands-on craftsman, so the engineering part was taken over by the Tvashta. So the creator was Prajapati. He thought, and the whole world happened. That's what the Upanishads say. So Kamayata and Bahusyam, let me become many. That's what he thought, and it became. So he was more on the mental plane, Prajapati Brahma. But the actual production thing, the craftsmanship thing was done by the Tvashta. So the Veda says that the Rig Veda says this, he gives shape to the fetus in mother's womb. So Tvashta has a very, very important role. Similarly, he shaped Indra's Vajra. That is, whenever we see the thunderbolt, we should remember Tvashta. And he assisted Vishwakarma Prajapati to create this universe. That's what Vajrasaniya Samhita says. And the last part is very, very important. Tvashta is also called as Vak. because whatever comes to the mind, whatever we conceive in the mind, gets expressed through our words, through the sound which we produce from our throat. So Aitareya Brahmana says, Vagvai Tvashta. So Tvashta is also called as Vachaspati and Vak. So when we say Tvashta has, this is something like the Guru and Buddha's role. The Guru is more wisdom Karaka, but the Vani Karaka is Buddha. So that part neatly fits into the nature of Tvashta Devata. So all these things are operating in John F. Kennedy's chart. Just to remember, Mercury is in Kritika Nakshatra because Mercury and the Lagna are in very, very close relationship. So the Vedic Devata is Agni. So what's the speciality of Agni? About 20% of the Rig Veda is devoted to him. And Agni is the real immortal. He is clearly called as, whenever we say Amara or Amartya, we are actually referring to the Agni. And Agni is someone who comes to us, who visits us without any appointment. So Tithi. So without Tithi is day or date, without mentioning the date he comes. That's why they say that when we say Atithi Satkara, it's not the Satkara of a person whom we have invited. It's the Satkara of a person who comes uninvited. So we have to be very, very careful. And there are many other things. He is the most peaceful person and he is the most knowledgeable Devata. These are all things, it goes like that. Okay, I will not go into all those things. So the most important point is that Agni produces immortality and is also destroyer. So the Lagna Lord being in close conjunction and being in Kritika Nakshatra shows that the person had the capacity to become famous, almost all a legend, to the tune of immortality. So he doesn't get the mrityu easily because as long as we remember a person, he has not died. So really we have to think like that. So let us take the election result day of John F. Kennedy. So in transit, Rahu was influencing the Virgo. As we have seen on that day, on the election day, that was when the results came. That's the election results day of his presidential election. It was 8th November 1960. Rahu was influencing the Virgo. Rahu is also in his D9 chart and 9th lord of natal chart. So Kanya Lagna, 9th lord is Venus. He was at 28 degree 30 minutes in Scorpio. As I said earlier, the house or sign is immaterial. So 28 degree 30 minutes is very close to 27 degree 18 minutes. Not only the Lagna was being influenced, but the Lagna Lord was also being influenced. So on the election result day, we see that there was a lot of importance, which was a lot of important things which was taking place. Please remember, this is an election result day. If we move to the day he was sworn in as the president. So it was 28th January 1960. It was at noon. Okay. Actually, if we take noon exactly, the moon was in 29 degree 59 minutes and Saturn was in 28 degree 37 minutes. As I said earlier, for most important events to take place, Saturn becomes very important as one of the slow moving planets. And he was a politician who was elected by popular vote, a huge popularity. And please remember, that was the first US elections when the presidential candidates debated on TV for the first time. Both John F. Kennedy and Nixon came on the TV. Everybody thought that Richard Nixon will win the election hands down and nobody can beat him. But he was no match to Kennedy because Kennedy, being a Mercury man, and as I said, the influence of Tvashta, Vagvai Tvashta, by his oratory floored all his audience, and they voted overwhelmingly for President Kennedy. Another thing is that many women voted for him because of his charming look. As we know, Mercury, Buddha is like a young prince. Just like very young women, young girls voted for Rajiv Gandhi in 1984 and 85. Same thing happened with Kennedy even before that, 25 years before that. So actually the swearing in ceremony started at 12:50. Sorry, 12 o'clock in the noon. That's a set time. There is no change as far as the timing of the president's swearing in ceremony is concerned, like India. And his actual swearing in took place at 12:51, to be exact. But that's where the role of the moon comes into the operation. Since moon is a fast moving planet, he traveled many degrees. And who is moon? Moon is the 11th lord as far as the natal chart is concerned. And he is also in the 11th house. So that played a very important part in this. He was 11th lord he is 11th lord in the natal chart, and in the transit chart of 20th January 1960, he is in the 11th house. So that's something 11th Rashi. If you take the Kalapurusha chart, it makes a lot of sense to us. So here I have given the natal D9 and the swearing in D9. Here the things become more clear. In the natal D9, the Lagna is, the Navamsha Lagna is Kanya. Once again, in swearing in chart, the Navamsha Lagna is once again Kanya itself. And the role of other planets can be easily seen. And here the moon comes to the 10th house along with the Mercury. So there was a lot of we can say a cosmic conspiracy to make John F. Kennedy the president of America. Sir, I'll take another 5 minutes. Not much, because I have already overshot my time. It's already 5:25.
Dr. Soumya Kumar, you can take 10 minutes more. I won't.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. So this was in what's that North Indian chart, and here I have given the South Indian chart. All we have to remember is the position of just a couple of planets. So no need to worry about other planets. And the degrees of the Lagna and the planets, they are very important. Please concentrate on that. So let us look into the assassination of President Kennedy. He was shot dead at Dallas, Texas on November 22nd, 1963. One great thing about the Westerners is that they record the time very meticulously. There won't be any dispute. When the president was shot at, when the president died, everything will be announced without concealing them. So it makes the job of the astrologers very easy. So he was shot once in the back, bullet exiting through his throat. And the second shot was to his head. The reported time is 12:30 p.m. So half an hour later, he was pronounced dead. Actually, according to the doctors, President Kennedy died immediately. Please remember that. He was immediately rushed to the hospital. So the half an hour time is immaterial. He died immediately because the bullet exited through his throat. And the second shot was to his head. And it was a the shots were fired very in quick succession. So we have to remember that. So at 12:30 p.m., the Lagna was Makara Lagna, and the degrees of the Lagna is 26 degree 39 minutes. Let us forget the seconds. The Navamsha Lagna was that of Leo. And at 12:32, even if he took 2-3 minutes to die, the Lagna moved to 26 degree 40 minutes. So it doesn't make much difference, but now it makes a lot of difference as far as the Navamsha Lagna is concerned, because the Navamsha Lagna from Simha, it moved to Kanya. And as we know, no person can die immediately. Though it was quick succession, we can safely assume that that Kennedy died when the Lagna, the Navamsha Lagna moved to Kanya Rashi. Actually, it's Kanya Amsha. Sorry. So this is the transit chart. Don't worry about the ascendant given here for 12:30 p.m. Okay. Oh, sorry. Ascendant is right. Sorry. So this is how things are there. So Moon and Saturn are in the Lagna. Ketu is in 12th house. And Jupiter is retro in this chart. So this makes more sense. Please look at the lower part. At that time, Mars was at 27 degree 12 minutes. As we all know, President Kennedy's Lagna is in 27 degrees. It's very near to 27 degrees. Venus was in 28 degrees 7 minutes. Venus is second and ninth lord. Please remember in his natal chart. Mars is the third and eighth lord of his natal chart. So it's almost all exact. 27 degree 12 minutes for Mars, and the Lagna, the degrees of the Lagna and the degree of the Mercury, the Lagna lord. It's a very, very close conjunction. So this is the, as I told you, this is the Navamsha chart. The left is natal D9 and the right side is transit D9. And as you can see, in it's Kanya Lagna, and Mars is in same degree as natal Lagna, 27 degree, 17-18 minutes. Natal Lagna's degrees is 27 degree 18 minutes. He is in 27 degree 12 minutes. So I'll move. Just to round up things, this is not a one-off case. You can check this for Indira Gandhi's chart for other things also. For example, in Indira Gandhi lost her power, and once again she was sworn in 1980. I think she was also sworn in as Prime Minister once again in 1980, January or something like that. There also this principle works fantastically. You can take any number of charts. So this is Indira Gandhi's chart, and her Lagna is in 25 degree, 39 minutes, 33 seconds. Please remember that. Lagna is in 25 degree, 39 minutes, 33 seconds. Other things are immaterial, as I told you. So in the Navamsha Kundali, the Lagna moves to Kumbhamsha and the Lagna Lord moves to the Kumbhamsha. This is the most interesting aspect in Mrs. Gandhi's chart. The Lagna Lord of D1 moves to the Lagna of the Lagnamsha of D9 chart. That is, if we take from Rashi chart, it is the 8th house. In D9, it has moved to 8th house, which shows a problem. So on 31st October 1984, she passed away. I am not so sure about what time she died because it was announced very late. But we can take the other planets. So her Lagna is in 25 degree, 39 minutes, 33 seconds. Please see here, on that day, Mars was at 24 degree, 50 minutes. Mercury was at 26 degree, 55 minutes. Saturn was at 24 degree, 7 minutes. 1.5 degree variation, that's all. So probably everybody conspired. Mercury, as you all know, who is very close to the Lagna degrees, is the 3rd and 12th lord. So whenever some planet comes there, and since Saturn is a very, very slow moving planet, he also has this effect, and Mars obviously represents. You can see the role of Mars in both the charts. So they denote, normally we say that they denote accidental death, violent death. It's proved here. So this is one small principle which I wanted to demonstrate. Similarly, we can take the role of deities also, how the deities were placed in the Navamsha chart, how the Manushya or Deva or the Rakshasamsha placed there. You can ask me because there are many good people. I think even in Dr. Raman's chart, 2 important planets in Navamsha are placed in, at least one planet is placed in Rakshasamsha, if I am sure. So does it denote that he was a very selfish person? Obviously not. It all depends. As the old sayings which we are taught in Pravina 1 says, Kala, Desha, Patra, we have to take into consideration. Obviously, many people may say that this is retrofitting. Everything has happened. That's how we are doing this. But please understand that in ancient days, just like we had family doctors, we had family astrologers. People used to keep the lineages. They used to maintain the Vamshavali of the people, and they knew how exactly people used to grow up, what was their characteristic features, how did they suffer, what did they enjoy, and all those things. When that's the situation, it was easy for them to forecast what will happen in the future. Obviously, we are handicapped because totally unknown people, stranger people come and sit there. There is no other way but to put a transit chart for that and understand the intentions and what exactly the transit chart is showing to us as far as the native is concerned. But the transit chart can also be used on D9 is something which I found very interesting, and this is an excellent tool for timing of events. I thought of taking up this because both Kapoor sir and Kedarji were interested in timing of events. Of course, they worked on different areas, but it was they who inspired me, and I got interested in divisional charts when I heard Kapoor sir and Vinay Aditya Ji, and later on could make a lot of progress as people have told me. I don't know because of the grace of my Guru Shukla sir. So with bowing my head to all of them, and once again thanking Pradeep Ji and Noida chapter, I rest here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Soumya Kumar. Thanks a lot. And hopefully this will be more interesting. Somebody wanted to ask question. We can take one or two questions if it is possible.
Yeah, yes, sir.
If somebody wanted to have any question, they can raise their hands.
There is one question. They have asked that Venus is shown in Leo. I don't know which chart it is.
I think when you are showing the Kennedy chart, they are showing it. This Venus was showing.
Yeah, as I said, it's immaterial where the planet is placed. It's the degrees which matter. That's the Devakeralan principle.
Yeah, that's it.
Sign or house doesn't matter.
At least we have caught hold you, and we have a lecture of yours, and I hope so you will continue to be a contributor in this series later on also whenever we request you.
Yeah, sure. It will be my pleasure.
The benefit part is that we are since the exams are going to almost are over, and this is a 3 weeks intermagnum period. जो छुट्टी का मिल जाता है लोगों को. So this is another in the this leap part before the next semester starts. And
yeah, that's true.
I hope we have a more students will having it. But is one person is raising the Manish Verma. He wants to ask a question. Manish, you can ask a question. Unmute yourself and ask a question. Manish, you can unmute and ask the question.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you so much. It was very nice session, sir. I have got one question. Basically, we have talked about nakshatras and placement of planets in a particular transit at a particular degree. So what is the role of dashas in that then? How we are?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we should not consider other things. Okay, I have focused totally on the particular aspect. That's all, nothing else. Just to show how things happen. That's why I said there was. It seems as if though there was a cosmic conspiracy when JFK became the president. So same thing applies to other things also. Everything should coincide. So because the timing of event is a very, very challenging part. Not only usually we see the transit of planets on the natal chart, but D9 gives us a better results according to Devakeralam and what C.S. Patel has shown us, because we will be focusing our attention on a very, very narrow span. So that gives us that makes our things much easier. That's it actually.
Thank you, Dr. Manish. Since you are still in the journey, and I think you are in the 6 month or year old, and it's a showcase what is going to be. That's basically showcase. And some things may not be understood right now, but it will be beneficial for you at the future part. come to this in a later stage of your learning part. Thank you, Dr. Soma Kumar. I think so. Well, we should not wait our other speaker to.
Yeah, yes, sir. And sorry, I overshot my time once again.
You're very well in time. So basically, it happens like a cricket team. The openers or the one-down batsman plays very well. So the person who has to come fourth, he is batted up and he keeps on waiting. Even my turn will come. May not come in the next that same day itself. I don't know.
Thank God you called me a batsman, not a bowler. Otherwise, there would have been a penalty.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Soumya Kumar.
Okay, sir.
And other friends, now we are calling the next speaker, the chairman of the host chapter, Brigadier Subhash Sharma ji. And I put him intentionally today because after that he will be free man and he will take command and can give me some relief for the next days of the session.